Donald Trump is releasing his version of immigration reform, of course, just in time for the election season. And the plan, according to reports, was crafted by Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner.
Oh, good.
And it would create a, quote, merit-based visa system that gives preference to migrants with coveted job skills instead of relatives of other immigrants. So this is something that we've heard Trump rail against for a while now, the idea of allowing migrants to come into the country based on relatives who already live here. He doesn't like it. He wants very skilled people to come in, which is ironic because we could use a very skilled president. It also calls for new infrastructure at ports of entry to speed up commerce while cracking down on drug and human smuggling. The new plan leaves the number of immigrants who obtain permanent legal residence each year around 1.1 million, which is unchanged, a move that may anger Trump supporters who want lower levels of immigration. Now, this is, by its very nature, a political ploy. It's a political strategy. This is not going to pass in the House of Representatives, but that is what the Trump administration and the Trump campaign specifically is hoping for, so they can campaign on it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna note real quick that we're 18 months out from the election and even the reporters are like, well, obviously nothing's gonna get done. Man, Congress does nothing at all. And if this system is screwing over the average American worker, but the people up top love this system. So the fact that they do nothing is great for them. It protects their power and the status quo. Anyway, now onto the substance of this. There is one part of it that I like, twist. Okay, but the rest is not great to say the least. So look, I'm not opposed to some percentage of the immigrants that are coming into the country legally being based on merit, and in fact they are now. And in fact, if you wanted to increase that percentage by a little bit, that would be interesting. And there's talk of how they would bring exceptional students here. I love that part. So I'm not biased when it comes to policy. I don't care who proposes it. If it's good policy, I'm in favor of it, okay? But the rest of it leaves a lot to be desired. So first of all, part of the way that they got that was they said, okay, but we're going to massively lower the number of immigrants that can come based on their family members that are already here in America. Now that's the most common form of immigration, but they say that's chain migration. No, that's family immigration, and so it puts a pejorative on it. Why do they do that? So you're gonna be shocked to find out that some of their motives are not pure. Let me quote The Hill here. Visa applicants would receive points for age, English proficiency, and offers of employment at certain wage thresholds. And they say in order to protect lower wage Americans. No, they just want rich people to come here. Okay, now if you want to say, hey, Nigeria, Kenya, Laos, etc., give me your best students. If they qualify here, I'd love to have them. I don't care what their country is, and I don't care what their income is. Great, wonderful. If you say, well, I'm gonna exclude the people who don't get high-paying jobs. No, that's just Trump saying, oh, I like rich people. Let's bring in more rich people. Okay, right. And that's not what the Statue of Liberty says.
And
you're tired, you're poor.
And we already have evidence of that because if you can recall, at the very beginning of the Trump administration, Jared Kushner and his family got in trouble because they immediately went to China and they started lobbying very wealthy Chinese business people to invest $500,000 into the Kushner properties in order to get citizenship into the United States, right?
And that is a particular type of visa.
Yeah.
And so that would again be benefited, which is a type of personal corruption.
Yeah.
That Kushner, who, hey, look at this, he's the one who came up with the policy, would benefit from.
Exactly.
But there's one other component to it. The senior administration official argued that it could change the current makeup of the immigrant population, which mostly comes from Mexico and Central America, but did not provide backup for that data to back up that claim. So what they're saying is to the right wingers, look, we kept the number the same, which the right wingers do not like. They're like, no, we were lying when we said we're against undocumented immigrants. We're against all immigrants, right? So they're very angry about this plan. And in fact, one analyst said this would last about 2 seconds once talk radio got a hold of it, okay? So they're like, no, remember, we were all lying together. It was a trick. We don't want any of these goddamn immigrants. But so Trump goes to appease them by saying, yeah, but with the requirements I put in, it's a backdoor way of blocking people who are Latinos from coming in, and we're gonna try to get white people to come into the country. They're unbelievable, they say it to the press. They say, no, don't worry, we're gonna try to block all 3 Mexicos from coming in here, okay? So they're so brazen with their racism, and then when you say, hey, you might be racist, they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm just trying to block all Latinos from coming into the country, and then you call me racist. Yeah, that's right. That's kind of the definition.
I know, but I do think that, look, I like the criticism. The criticism is warranted, but we should give them credit for what they get right in this legislation, and there are things that they get right. So this whole notion of making sure that people who come into the country understand and can speak English, I agree with that. I mean, people who come here to become citizens really need to understand the oranges of America, and they need to speak the language, right? I mean,
and if they're gonna get us some covfefe, then I need to know if they can spell Marine Corps.
So obviously I was sarcastic, just in case that flew under the radar.
Yes, no, it would be nice to have a president who could speak English.
Exactly. So we'll see where this goes, but again, this is a political strategy. I have no doubt that they'll utilize it as a political strategy. It is a issue that Trump obviously ran on in the last election, and it worked really well with his base. So we'll see where it goes.
All right, last thing on it is Donald Trump with he says, I don't think most countries are giving us their finest. Countries don't give you the immigrants. Like, it's just so depressing how stupid the president is.
Yeah, I love how like the idea of like Obrador in Mexico, thinking to himself like, all right, who am I gonna send to the United States?
Who am I gonna give them? Who am I gonna give them?
It doesn't work that way.
Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.